Hello everyone, welcome back to Morgan's Movie Collection. 1957's I Am Waiting is my first foray into Japanese film noir, and what a wonderful start it was. A real desperate quality about this movie that I just absolutely loved. Fits so perfectly into the noir world. That real on the edge feeling is such a key ingredient to this style of filmmaking, and it's so very prevalent in this movie. It is all over it. The movie stars Yujiro Ishihara and Mia Kitahara, who are two big Japanese stars of the late 50s and early 60s. The wonderful Blu-ray from Radiance that I do own as part of the World Noir Volume 1 box set has a really great special feature detailing the career of Yujiro Ishihara in particular, and it was made very clear just how big an icon of this era in Japan he really was. And he's got so much dynamism about him in this movie. It is a very dynamic performance. There's a great deal of energy, and Mia Kitahara is mysterious in the beginning of this movie, really grows to be a very, very, I think, relatable figure as the movie goes on as well, a very sympathetic figure. But it does begin as quite a mysterious movie, which I think all great noir really does. You know, you want to know exactly why these characters are in these situations, or fundamentally just who they are. And the way this movie tells its story, I mean, it's structured phenomenally well. It moves at a really steady pace, really quite quick, steady pace. But the way we learn information about our characters, I mean, we start off knowing very little about them. Yujiro brings Mia Kitahara into his restaurant that he owns, because it's she's covered in rain. It's been raining outside. She's kind of wandering around the sort of harbour area on her own, and they offer a great deal of support to each other in both their desperate times. Yujiro is waiting for a letter from his brother in Brazil because he wants to leave Japan. He's very ready to leave Japan. He wants to join his brother in Brazil, and he's been waiting an awfully long time for this now. And Mia Kitahara is we come to learn, is a former singer. She calls herself a canary who has forgotten how to sing, which I think is wonderfully poetic, perfectly poetic language there. I love that kind of thing in these movies so much. And they offer real support to each other. It's not quite a love story, which I think is quite refreshing as well from watching these kind of movies. It is really just more of an emotional support. But of course, this is a noir movie. There's a crime syndicate involved. There's more layers to this story once we learn exactly who these characters are. Yujiro's character is a former boxer who unwillingly killed a man in a bar fight at one point, I think about a year prior to the events of the movie. And Mia Kitahara sings in a cabaret club that these gangsters run. And there's connections between the two of them that they really wouldn't have known at the beginning. We didn't know at the beginning. And the way these are revealed in this really very interesting way. It's not quite voiceover that we're used to in American noir, or flashbacks in the same way, but it's almost like characters talk to each other about something that happened, and then we will cut to that previous time and watch that previous scene play out. And that happens 3 or 4 times in the movie for us to learn important contextual backstory about our characters. Like I said, the storytelling structure is so great and really captures you, encapsulates you into the movie, envelops you in the movie. It's exactly what this kind of thing should do, because it's just as much a mystery as it is a great personal, emotional struggle tale and a crime movie as well. It's kind of got a bit of everything. I Am Waiting, whilst having this obviously quite fresh flair for me of being a Japanese film noir. And like I said, what a wonderful start to my watching of Japanese noir this really was. I will say as well, it builds to a certain point, it becomes an investigative movie, almost, kind of, for the last act, where Yujiro's character is desperately rushing around trying to find information about his brother, who he still hasn't heard from at this particular time. And like I said, there's connections we didn't quite envision happening there between our characters and the syndicate, the villainous crime syndicate in this movie. But it ends as well in this wonderful hand-to-hand fist fight between Yujiro and our main villain, our crime boss in this movie, which I found it wonderful, because this is the thing that I can sometimes think to myself, that American noir, as wonderful as American noir is, as much as I love American noir, as phenomenally creative as American noir can be in its depictions of violence, because it can't quite get away with showing such frank violence because of the MPAA censors and all this kind of stuff. This movie doesn't have to worry about that kind of thing. It speaks to its own censorship board of its own country, and I think this is something I'm very much going to enjoy about hopefully delving more into international noir this year, because this fist fight at the end, it seems to last for ages, and it is brutal. I mean, there is blood all over these characters. It's very violent, very in your face, again filled with so much energy, throwing each other about all over the place, and is just brutal to watch. It's something you would expect from, I think, a late 60s, 70s movie, not a late mid to late 50s movie, which I think is just great. I was really very, very taken aback by the brutality of the final fist fight, and it adds a certain, I think, satisfaction to the end of this movie that you really want to see happen when you learn exactly what's going on. And I won't give any major details away here, other than to say, go and seek out I Am Waiting. It is available, like I said before, in this Blu-ray from Radiance Films as part of their World Noir Volume 1 set, directed by Koreyoshi Kurahara, starring Yujiro Ishihara and Mia Kitahara. I Am Waiting from 1957. Like I said, filled with a really good bunch of features to educate you on this style of filmmaking from this country at this time and the people involved, opening yourself up to more movies from across the world, from across the eras and across the genres as well. It is the best thing to do. I was a big fan of I Am Waiting, very, very much so. Grab this if you can, absolutely. But there we go for my first Japanese film noir. Ultimately, fundamentally, it did its job. It's made me want to go and watch more Japanese noir, which is exactly what I wanted to get from watching it. I will be back very soon with another Morgan's Movie Collection video, a review of the next movie, actually, in Radiance's World Noir Volume 1 set. So stay tuned and keep an eye out for that. Subscribe and ding your notification bell on this channel. Check out the It's a Wonderful podcast feed on all major podcast platforms. Leave your likes, leave your comments down below. What do you think about this movie? Are you interested in seeing this movie if you haven't? And yes, definitely let me know about that. Until next time, that is going to do it. Goodbye.